Hey y'all, welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, recruiting in yoga pants. So this week, let's dig into third-party sites and applications. So there are three pretty common third-party sites that a lot of folks will use and a lot of companies will use as maybe their version of an ATS, right? So again, let's remember the definition of an ATS. Applicant tracking system. What that means is any system being used to track applicants technically is an ATS. Just say it, okay? In the most simplest definition, any system used to track applicants is indeed an ATS. So here's the reality, especially for smaller companies, especially for companies that maybe don't do a ton of hiring or don't have the budget, infrastructure, support, whatever for a big, robust piece of machinery like an iCIMS or a Taleo or a homegrown system. Any of these things, they may lean on LinkedIn Recruiter, ZipRecruiter, Indeed. Like these are kind of the big three that I looked up. They absolutely could potentially be used as that initial ATS depending on the company. So the way that those work is companies will actually purchase job slots. So you pay for a role to be posted for a specific amount of time. Maybe it's like a 30-day job slot and you can renew it at the end of 30 days or whatever. And so you're publishing your open role on this website. Now, LinkedIn will also scrape some, or LinkedIn, Indeed, all these companies will also scrape the web and post roles, or they may have a broader agreement, like my company and the big tech companies I've worked for, their roles just automatically get sent to LinkedIn. It's just part of like the overall package and, what we pay for, what the company pays for with LinkedIn. So it's just automatically there. I don't post it there. It just happens automatically. And I still think people should come straight to the website to apply. Sorry, LinkedIn, don't be mad. For me, I'm always gonna go straight to the source. I'm suspicious that way. Like I wanna make sure I'm going straight to a job that's still actively open on the career site. I'm making sure my resume has parsed properly and the information's where I want it to be before I hit submit. I'm not leaving anything to chance, but that's me. You do what you want. Okay, so now the question then becomes, okay, well, if this is the only way I can apply, or this is my preferred method, or this is what the company wants me to do, how do I do that and feel confident that I'm not gonna get, automatically rejected? I heard that Indeed rejects people for not having the right keywords. I've gotten an automatic, rejection from ZipRecruiter when I applied. Let's unpack it. And guess what, y'all? Google's free. You can go read this shit for yourself, okay? It's not a secret hidden to just only accessible to recruiters. You too can find it with the right Google search, okay? So let's look at, let's talk about, what do we want to talk about first? I have it pulled up over here. Let's look at Indeed. All right, so this one really tripped me up because I heard that Indeed was doing this nefarious, you don't have the right keywords, so we reject you thing. I can't find that anywhere. I would love for someone to show me that. So if you have an Indeed license or you have actual knowledge of this happening, call me, all right? My number's all over the internet. Just hit me up, show me what you're talking about. What I did find out is that Indeed does have screening questions. And guess who sets up the screening questions? This is gonna blow your mind. Guess who sets up the screening questions? The person posting the job. Who saw that coming? Here's what happens straight from Indeed's FAQs. What happens to applicants that are rejected because they do not have my exact requirements? Well, turns out that when a candidate indicates that they do not meet your deal breaker application qualifications, those candidates are marked as rejected. Oh, fear not, dear candidate. Employers still have the option to go back and take a second look. Those applications still reside in that employer account. So you have these different categories, right? Like this person is applied, this person is screened, this person is, moving to interview stage, whatever. The recruiter's like making these moves from one category to the next. You, as the applicant, can move yourself to the reject button box by answering the questions honestly, I would hope. And if you're not qualified, you will be rejected. But the employer can go into their employer account, look at that job, and go to that rejected tab. And guess what? They're going to find you. You're there. You're still technically on the roll. You've just been automatically dispositioned because you answered the knockout or qualification questions with the answer that they didn't want. Just like I've been saying about knockout questions in the ATS, like exactly the same process. Color me surprised. So that's Indeed. What happens in ZipRecruiter? Let's find out together, shall we? So how ZipRecruiter works, there's a whole lot there. Okay, let's talk about the pre-screening because this is what's really important to you guys, I think. So this is once again, and ZipRecruiter did a great job with like the screenshots. Like they actually show you all the things and red boxes around the, very, very complete. So good job, ZipRecruiter. I hate your commercials, but well done on this, okay? This is good. So an employer is going to have a dashboard. This is, again, very much like an ATS. All the ATSs I've used are some sort of a dashboard landing page that has all this information. And there's going to be your list of jobs. And you can actually go into each individual requisition and you can adjust those criteria. You can actually list preferred and basic qualifications. You can also list deal breaker questions. So a deal breaker question might be something like, are you eligible to work in the United States? And if you are not, and maybe this small company does not have the ability to sponsor a visa, for example, they would not be able to proceed with your application based on that. That is legal in the United States, okay? Just so you know, there are checks and balances and ways that it has to be done, but you can, in some cases, require eligibility to work in the US. I'm a US-based recruiter. I speak from a US-based perspective, sorry, but that's how that works. So you can say that, okay? And Indeed is going to now hide that applicant. So if I'm an employer and I don't see a lot of applications and I'm wondering what in the world, where are they? I can actually go to the hidden tab and I can see them all. Isn't that something? Doesn't that sound exactly like something some crazy redheaded lady screams about on the internet every week? Shocker. Okay, so that's ZipRecruiter. You set these up. The recruiter, the person adding this information to the site sets this up. Okay. This may come as a shock to you, but our friends at LinkedIn have a very similar process. Once again, you have paid for that job slot, and if you have that kind of, setup, that's part of your agreement with LinkedIn where you are manually going in and adding those job slots and you're editing this information. You can also set up these screening questions, these basic qualifications, these yes or no's, these must-haves versus nice-to-haves. You can set all this up. And folks that do not meet your initial screening criteria are archived. So we have rejected, we have hidden, and we have archived. So what do these three statuses have in common? They're all applied based on a manual input of a decision tree or a yes, no, or a criteria that is set by the person posting the job. And they're all readily available and findable and reviewable by anyone logging in to that client's account. So while these systems are not an ATS in the traditional sense of what we usually think about when we talk about ATSs, this is very much in line with how hiring applications, trackers, all of these things are set up. There is nothing crazy here. There's nothing unheard of. There's nothing really surprising. In fact, the only thing about this that surprised me was how similar it is to the process I've seen unfold hundreds of times at multiple companies. Okay, so to put a big old bow on this and tie this up, because we're at time, you absolutely can apply through a third party if you choose to. Sometimes that is the only option available to you. If that is the case, trust that the company is using this third-party system as their ATS for whatever reason. They're entitled to do that. If you have the option of going directly to the source, I personally would do that. Again, only because I like to sanity check that my information is parsing the way I want it to, my application is complete, the right resume is attached that I've spent 5 minutes improving or tweaking to fit, whatever that might be. But the process, the workflow, the back-end stuff, from everything I've seen and all the research I've done and everything I've read, y'all, it's no different than what I've been telling you for years. Okay? So I hope that helps. I hope that gives you a little bit of security and just a better understanding of how these things work on the back end. I highly, highly, highly recommend you do your own research. Number one, talk to recruiters at the companies you want to work for. That is your single best source of information. Number two, a quick Google search, a little poking around, reading FAQs, looking at screenshots, understanding how these systems operate is a game changer. The more information you personally have and the more knowledge you have going into your job search, the more confident and secure you're going to be, and the less likely that you're going to fall for a job search scam. I don't want that for you. I don't want that tiny white font bullshit. I don't want you thinking that you have to avoid the application to be successful. I want you to be empowered with knowledge of how these things work and focusing on the activity that gets you where you want to go. All right, y'all, I hope that helps. Went a little bit longer than I expected, but hopefully it was helpful for you. Let me know down below if you have any other questions, anything we did not cover, or if there's any other research that we can do to help bring some more insights to you. All right, y'all, we'll see you next week.